We are not in control of when these things happen to us, nor what the emotion will be. But what we can control is its duration, right? Anger is a reaction to stress and anxiety and tension and pressure. Uh, 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 and I like Ben Franklin. Anger is never without a reason, but seldom it's a good reason, right? Like I said in my car, why am I getting angry? This is a silly exercise. So when emotions are too muted, they create dullness and distance. When they're out of control, too extreme and persistent, they become pathological, as in immobilizing us into depression, overwhelming us with anxiety, rage, or some kind of manic agitation. So, I've already said that. So what is anger? I say anger. What pops into your head as I try to make this interactive? What ultimately is anger for you? Fear. Losing control. Uncontrolled reaction. I love it. This is a great group. What else is anger? Defense, frustration, an emotional, uncontrolled reaction. I love it. Anxiety, disappointment, resistance to change. Now, that might be change around you, or you are choosing not to change. Heated, livid, being on the receiving end of injustice, fight or flight. It's fight, and fight, right? Frustration, negative emotions, misinformation triggered. All right, good. Woo! Y'all are rocking. Unlike sadness, anger is energizing. It's exhilarating. Anger builds on anger. The emotional brain heats up. By then, rage, unhampered by reason, easily erupts into violence. Now, to diffuse anger, you got to catch it early. You got to distract and cool off. How many of you were raised by a father? Now, remember, my father's from another country, and he didn't have a dad for the most part. So I was raised by the belt. Anybody know the sound of the belt as it's coming out of the loops of the belt of the pants? Anybody know that sound? My father was a master of threatening you with anger, right? Of threatening you with violence. Thought that was a deterrent. How many of you would get whipped? I'd get whipped on the back of my legs. And then the next day in school, my friends are like, hey, Mauricio, are those whip marks on the back of your legs? I'm in elementary school. I'm like, yeah, it's an immigrant thing. You wouldn't understand. If I did that today to my kids, I'd be in jail and my kids would be raised by foster parents. All right. So let's talk about anger management. So my son is 16. I'm a storyteller. This is how I train. My son is 16, and he said something to me that I said exactly to my father when I was 16, my son Ethan's grandpa. So I said the same thing to my dad when I was 16, and he cold cocked. He just punched me right in the face, knocked me out. I mean, I fell on the ground. I thought my feet left the shoes. Like, I got hit so hard, I thought my shoes were still sitting in front of me. My mom was freaking out, right? Crying, screaming, stop. And I looked at my dad on the ground and I said, I'll never forget that. Well, if God isn't working mysterious ways. So my son is 16. He says the same thing to my dad. And I look at him, I go, oh my God. I said the same thing to my father when I was your age. And Ethan goes, what happened? I said, he beat the crap out of me. I'm not going to touch you. Now there's your self-control. Every cell of my being, my DNA, I want to just punch him like my dad did to me. But instead, I said, you know what, Ethan? I said the same thing. And what happened? My dad beat I'm not going to touch you. And I turned, and I'm not lying if I tell all of you, as I turned to walk away, a little voice in my head said, call your father. I was thinking, hey, Dad, can you come over and finish him off and bring the belt with the rusty buckle? I didn't do it. My son embraced me. I've never touched my son. Never. And that to me is because I'm emotionally intelligent. I'm self-aware.